wanna get what you giving. Give me unlimited vision and see through the counterfeit. I want the realest. Where he come from, you can't get that with a PJ. It's so full inside this house, I feel like DJ. I can't fight it, let your light come shine on me. Ain't no hiding, I'm confiding in your peace. Carrying buckets of shame. Father, I'm saying your name, but so far from it. Come see the blood in my veins. For me, he bleeding the same. Take this covenant, this is the greatest exchange. At his altar, there's a flame that burns your rubbish. Gave me a cup full of rain. He poured it over every stain until he coming. Glory to the Father. You deserve the praise. Lead me to your altar. Wash away my shame. Glory to the Father.
I am so excited. I am so excited. I am so excited. Every Wednesday in October, I'm going to be talking to you about a new segment that I have, and I am really, really excited about it. So every Wednesday, 12 noon, I need you to come to Facebook. I need you to get to YouTube so you can hear what this segment is all about. It's going to bless your whole life. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you on Wednesday, 12 noon.
Good afternoon and welcome to the set. So I know you were expecting my mother, Miss Diane Harris, but we decided to do something a little different today. So I have the pleasure of interviewing my mother about her 20s. So give a warm welcome to Miss Diane Harris.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, Facebook family. Good afternoon, Ken, Austin. I love you all. How are you? It's good to be here today. Thank you for tuning in to Pearls of Wisdom. We have a show for you today. We have something we have to say to you. We want to speak to the little girl in you. We want to speak to the mother in you. Give a little wisdom about what I wish that I had done differently when I was at a certain age, which is the 20s is what we're going to be talking about today. The 20s, the wonderful 20s.
And I think we have a picture when you were in your 20s.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if we can get it up.
Hope you all enjoy the day. Hope you're having a fabulous day today. Thank you for dropping in.
Boom. Okay. Let's pull up this picture that we got.
Just bring the picture up. Just hold tight. There she is. What? There she is.
Got the fresh
sweet,
Jerry curl.
Innocent 21-year-old. I was 21 years old. I was living in Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, I was. I was born and raised in Baltimore City. Okay, Franklin Square General Hospital it was. Yes, 21 years old. I was young. I was vibrant. I was well taken care of, nourished in my home, and it was just a wonderful time. It was wonderful 20s that I lived in. Yes, it was.
20s.
20s.
I still feel like I'm in my 20s.
You still look like he's in his 20s.
By the grace of God.
Yes, sir.
So I know what I was doing in my 20s. You know, I had a little first taste of freedom. I was in the military. I was in Germany. You know, I was exploring new things, new avenues. Although I was still saved. So I ain't straight to. I didn't fall out of the line too much. But that's not everybody's story. And so the beautiful thing about this is I get to, you have the luxury and the opportunity to be able to see what it's like from both sides. So I don't want to start with questions. I think I want to start more and just let mommy just free flow. What it was like being a 20-year-old Miss Diane.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what it was like being a 20-year-old Miss Diane. I was fresh. I was about 18. I came out of high school, and my mother, she always sheltered us. She sheltered the children. So it was up to me whether I wanted to get a job or not. And of course, what 20-year-old want to work? Okay, if you have your parents who say, "I'm gonna take care of you," they're gonna nurture you, they're gonna continue to give and pour out. I stayed home. So the most things that I've done in my 20s was hang out with my family, my cousins. My cousins and I, we were really close. We would eat up every Sunday, and it was this thing called Super Sunday. You could buy all-day pass and ride the bus all day on Sundays. So we would get a super pass, and we would ride the bus all day on Sunday. We would go roller skating because I used to love the roller skating. Bounce, roll, skate. I was roller skating. I had my own skates. I had my little carrying case and everything. We would get on the bus and we would go down on Liberty Road. What was the name of it? Skateland, I think it was called. Y'all up in your 60s, y'all know what I'm talking about. So we would go out there and we would roller skate, and it was a Gino's Giant. You don't know about that. It was a Gino's Giant. It was right next door to the skating rink. We would leave the skating rink, we would go get Gino Giants. We would just hang out the street. We would walk all day and walk all night, just talking and interacting, not getting into anything deep. That didn't come until my later years. But we was just innocent, and I was a good girl. You can talk to my mother. Mother will tell you I was a good girl. Okay, I did some things here and there. But nothing really drastic. She'll let you know. But I love my 20s. My 20s, I was innocent. I wasn't even in the boys yet. I wasn't even thinking about boys. Me and my cousin, we were just having fun. That's all. We weren't doing much anything.
They don't have nothing like that nowadays. What? Ride the bus all day? All day pass?
All day pass. You can just ride the bus anywhere from home city you want. And then you had to transfer. We could transfer from buses going to different places. As long as we was out of that bus by 12 a.m. the next day, we were good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So roller skating, just hanging out.
Going to the movies. We would go to the movies. There used to be days you could see movies for free all day long. We would go to the movies. We would go in there with our subs and our fries and be eating. Just have to.
Y'all brought whole meals up in
Yeah. We weren't supposed to, but I was
okay,
in my
so that
20s.
hasn't changed. Wow, that's cool. So I don't know if we have anything like that growing up. All day movies, they may have, but I think for the most part, the thing that I like, just because I've never heard of anything. I've never talked to my mom about her 20s, so this is news to me too. So I'm shocked too, in a good way, because a lot of the 20s are the same.
Yeah.
So, just wanting to be out, get a taste of freedom. You're finally out of school. Like, I remember those days. But I didn't have the option that, we had to have a job. But it's different for a guy than it is for a lady, young lady. And so that's a beautiful opportunity to be able to, because you're just coming to yourself, right? Or you're in the process of, how would you explain that?
I was more of when I look at Diane and Dominique in their 20s, their head was a little bit more level than mine was. I was stuck in the now. I wasn't looking to the future. I wasn't looking at, I need to do this to accomplish anything. I wasn't. I was just like free flowing because my parents always cushioned me. I didn't have to. They did it for me. Whereas with Diane and Dominique, their heads was all straight. This is what I want to do. I want to go to law school. I want to do this. I want to do photography. I want to do real estate. They do all that.
But you were the only girl.
I was the only girl.
So do you think that makes a difference?
I think it made a difference because my mother really spoiled me. She spoiled me a lot. And it made a big difference because as the only girl, I got everything. My brother's watching, but I did. I got everything. And I had my little canopy bed. I had my own room. I was painting any color I wanted. So I was literally really spoiled. So and it kind of like hindered things in a sort of kind of way. She didn't let me just go out there and just, we didn't just sit and talk about, what you're going to do in your future and this and that. We didn't have those conversations. We had the conversation, I'm taking you to get your hair done, we're going to buy you some new clothes. And that was all good for me as a 20-something-year-old, because that's what I knew.
And so how did that translate, you raising your daughters in their 20s? Because you said that you had the cushion, but you weren't given a push to like, what do you want to be? You weren't cultivated in like the workplace.
Right. No.
So,
my mama told me, if you don't have a job, quit, leave.
Right.
And I did. You know, you don't like it, leave. You got home. I said, okay, bye. I'm not coming back. Well, I didn't even tell them I'm not coming back. I just didn't show up. So that's what was instilled in me. That's what I knew. You know, so I had to break that chain myself. But it took a little while. You know, I kind of like that cushion. I like being taken care of. I like that. But I had to break that thing. Once I had Diana, I knew I said, listen, yeah, things have to shift. And although my mother had a good heart, she means to do well by me. I just had to break that so that I could be independent. You know, so that I could take care, so I could raise Diana.
So your firstborn is what brought about that. It's like, oh, responsibility.
Responsibility, right? It made me responsible.
It made you want to push toward independence.
Right.
So you stayed home up until about what age?
I was like about maybe my early 30s.
Early 30s, and then you had your first child. You had Diana. And then
I moved out. You know, I moved out, and I moved in with their father. You know,
Okay, so we're not gonna get into the 30s. Diana, she got the 30s covered.
That's right.
I had to pump the e-brake. You know me. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Right.
So, it's cool because one of the things that is different nowadays is that little girls are having babies at 15, 16. So although you had this freedom, you were responsible with your freedom. It wasn't like you were just, and like you said, you weren't really into boys. You just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's that innocence, that purity, that never allows you to go too far. Because
and also because I just sit here and remember my mother had a conversation with me one time. She told me, she said, if you go out there and you start messing around with these guys, you're going to get pregnant. And that put fear in me because I was like, I cannot afford to get pregnant. So I would not. But I remember one time I went off with this little boy. We had hooked school. This is before the 20s. I was about 18. I hooked school and we went over to his house. And we were just kissing and everything, but nothing didn't go. I wouldn't let him go any further than that. I was like, no, because I am not getting pregnant. Then I got scared because I thought, if I get pregnant because I kissed him. You know, so that's how innocent I was in my mind, because my parents never really sat down and talked to me about sex. They just said, don't do it. That was it.
And that was enough back then.
That was enough. I said, okay, I trust you.
There was more respect and reverence.
It was a lot more respect and reverence for your parents, right?
So that's another difference. So I just bridging the gap between the generations because I'm mommy's firstborn's age. We're closer in age, and so just thinking how the kids now, that's not on their mind. I mean, most of the time, you know, most of the kids now, because of the laws have changed, most of them are smoking weed now, and they have this different type of liberty, and so this lawlessness abounds, and they're just having babies. I mean, and you know, that's not your story, which is a blessing. But it just goes to show how then and now there's such a difference in the reverence and the respect aspect, because back then, you know, as she just mentioned, you know, it was just the word of her parents. Now you got to fight tooth and nail. I don't have children, but I've watched from the outside in because I've been a part of youth ministries and things like that, and I've been a youth leader for many, many, many years, and how parents have to fight and are literally going toe to toe, blow to blow with their kids.
Yeah.
And so that has changed drastically in today's culture and times, because what would you accredit to that? Because you did have, although you didn't have your father, you had a father.
Yeah, yes, my stepfather, he was there. My biological father was alcoholic. And my stepfather, he's pretty much raised us. And but my mother still had the foot down on everybody. You know, she kept the order in the house. He did too. You know, but she was like, you know, you do this is going to be repercussions for it. If you do that, this is going to happen. And my mother did not play with us. She didn't joke and play with us. I understood she was not my friend. Right. And I told Diane, for y'all not my friends. I'm your mother. You know, so you can't. And I've seen people get on that friendship thing with their child, and the child step out of bounds and they start disrespecting. I'm like, no, we're not going to take it there. Just like the church as a leader. You know, you don't want to play too much with the people because they're going to get too calm. They'll get too calm. So no. So my mother kept us in a place where we're the children and you're the parent, and we listen. Period.
So those healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
So even in the 20s, like that was still there.
Yeah.
Which goes to show when those things don't depart from you because you turned out and you raised your daughters in the same way. You know, the parent is parent. In your 20s, what do you feel like you missed? Because you spoke of your mother not explaining certain things to you. What did you miss that you were able to give to your daughters?
I miss the fact that we didn't have the conversations that I had with my daughter. You know, we had conversations, but it wasn't those really deep ones. You know, like I said, my mother was like, she was loving and nurturing. She wanted to give and take care of us. She did all that. But we didn't sit and talk about, what do you want to do in the future? You know, my mother was like, I got you. You know, don't worry about that. I'm going to take you and I'm going to walk you along, which was fine. But it didn't lead me to think deeper about what I want for myself, because I never thought about it. I never looked into the future. I never cared. You know, because I was in that right now.
Right.
You know, whereas, like I said, Dominique and Diane, they were looking into what I'm going to do when I get older. You know, how many years I had before I graduate, how many years. So it was like a little bit deeper. So that's the person I want to speak to. If I can speak to that person, that's what I would tell them. You know, and I don't know how to tell you to have a conversation with your mother, but I would tell the parents, have that conversation with your child. I was in my 20s, but I was still, it's like you can't, it's like if you were raised in the jungle and you bring a person outside the jungle, they're not going to learn anything until you teach them. Right. You know, so, yeah.
So 20s, very fond memories. What are your fondest memories from your 20s?
My fondest memories is going shopping with my mom. You know, her calling me out and going out and she's buying me everything I want and getting my hair done. I was getting my hair done every 2 weeks. And, you know, just hanging out with her, going with her to rehearsal because she was a singer. You know, she was singing for a group. So she would go out on Wednesday nights to rehearsal. Just spending time with her, being out with her, being treated different than my brothers. I thought I was better because, you know, they had the baseball games and building the picnic table with the father and working on the cars, but I had the pretty side. You know, I had my little pretty bed, my little prissy bed and everything. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed spending time with my cousins.
So you sound like you had a big family. So it was very family oriented.
Very much so, absolutely.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I think 20s. What changed in your 20s? What were some of the? Because we can't really talk about the 20s if we don't talk about the teens. Because I have a hard time wording this. I know when I was in my teens years, like I couldn't wait to be free, and it wasn't that we weren't afforded and allotted opportunities. And I now recognize that my parents just kept and gave us safeguards.
Right.
But what that did, it translated to me with I thought it was not having freedom, when it was really protecting, nurturing, and caring, and raising to be responsible. Did you ever, because I know we've had conversations before, did you ever feel like you had too much responsibility when you were, because you were pretty much presumed the older, and then by being the only girl, you were more of like the enforcer with your siblings? Do you feel like the responsibility could have contributed to you just wanting to just let your hair down, so to speak?
Not really. No, it wasn't nothing that, everything that happened in my household up until I left, I was okay with it. Because that's all I knew.
I asked that because a lot of just mentoring younger people in the past, I found that a lot of people, they start doing a lot of things that they wouldn't usually do or always wanted to do because they always had to be responsible. But I know that the dynamics have changed, and today, where children are raising children, and so that whenever you pre-expose someone or something to anything, it causes a deficiency, and then most people they just overcompensate. So, but you didn't experience that.
I did not experience that at all. No, I didn't.
Which is good. So it sounds like there was a healthy balance. So the parents were the parents, and you didn't have to be parent.
Right.
And so there was never a deficiency. So everyone stayed in their lane.
Right.
I also bring that up because I believe that that's what's missing in the families today. Is the parental parental role, and so then you have child after child after child, or maybe you just have 1 or 2 children, and one of the child presumes by default that role, that responsibility.
Right.
And then some of them turn out okay, some of them go out and live lavish lifestyles, some of them are still okay, but they want to do other things. Just so, of course, the outcome is different depending on the person, but I found, especially in the metropolitan area, in the cities, in your major cities, that a lot of children are at home. What can you speak to? A lot of children at home raising, and the parents are not there, and so they miss that. I've always heard that the 20s is your time to explore and to get to know yourself. And so when you don't have that, if you didn't have that, how do you think that would have affected you?
If I had more responsibility, like you saying,
If you had more responsibility and less
I
freedom.
believe it would have pushed me to get a little wild. Because now I'm stuck in the house like a housewife, and it's not for me. I shouldn't have to be.
Right.
But to help out the family. It all depends on the situation, the parent's situation. If they're just out there running in the street and they got, just putting that responsibility on this person, that's not right. And if they're out there actually working 8 hours a day and a part-time, full-time job to feed them, unfortunately the child has to step in a little bit and help out. So it all depends on the situation. I want to adjust the one where the parent just abused the privilege. You want to run the street because that's what I did, and you want the oldest one to take care of the younger. But we'll get down. That's further down the road. But as far as in my household, my mother, it was like the parent was in charge. Child, stay in your lane. We couldn't even walk in the same room with adults when they were talking. That's what it was like that. Now I was around my friends and the kids running all up in there, and everybody talking, cussing, and yelling. And I'm like, the child is here, so it's affecting them. But as for me, in my 20s, my teenage years especially, don't walk in a room when other people are talking. I was raised up with that. So, we would people around the corner. But no, don't just do that. And, my father used to tell us, when you walk in the room, you speak. And if we already in there, you walk in here, you're supposed to speak. So that was natural for me. I walk in and say, hey, how y'all doing? Whereas nowadays, people just walk all over the place, don't say nothing. And that's especially to adults. It's children. But the parents have to instill this stuff in these kids. And I think it's being lost now because from my mother's generation to mine, they made us do it. Now, from my generation to Diane and Dominique's generation, I made them do it. But everybody's not going to do that. And you will respect me in this house. Right. And my mother told me, you will respect me in this house. So, and we did. Even to this day, I don't say anything inappropriate to my mother. I won't. I can't. Because it was instilled in there. Diane and Dominique don't. They tried once. And I said once. They tried. Diana tried, but that was it. Because they respect me, and I respect them. And, we have our moments. Right. But it's never like out of the box like some of these families. Yeah, no. Today it's just wow.
I witnessed children cursing out their parents.
Listen. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, because see.
So those are some of the things that I respect, that because I was raised, I had older parents, and so everything that mommy is sharing, I can relate to because we didn't talk back. We didn't raise our voice. What dad and mom said was law. There's nothing. It's like God's word. It's the undisputed truth. If you gotta say so, go get you a loan, go get you a house, go get you a job, and get out.
We'll get you some dental insurance and get those teeth replaced. Just
Right.
got knocked out.
And it remains the same today. Like my parents, it's the same. I can say the same thing.
Yeah.
And I believe that's important to pass down those. I don't even want to say it's tradition, because when you say tradition, it makes it seem almost rigorous, but it's really integrity. It's really sound principles and doctrines. And I believe that when you do get out on the streets, there's this song, I know you don't know about this, but it's called Sidewalks. And the artist goes on to say that the sidewalk saved his life. And he was saying that all the things that he could have got into because he didn't run in the streets, he went outside and he played, but he knew to stay on those sidewalks. And I believe that is also what's missed as well too, because even something as small like that, we weren't even allowed to be in the street, literally.
Right.
You go outside, you better not be in that street. Your whole soul will get snatched. and you grow up and you're like you obey, and then when you get older, you can see why. You begin to understand that you could get hit by a car, you can get ran over, and so I am able to appreciate that music. Y'all probably know listen to it. It's hip hop.
Well, can I interject with one thing? Because
Yes.
you just said something really profound. Because you said you was told don't go on the street.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I was never told why not to. I just didn't do it. But I
Right.
remember we had the conversation one time. You said, kids, you can't just tell them not to do something. You got to explain to them why not to do it.
Inquire.
Which makes sense. Oh, yeah, I just want to
It
put that
does.
in there because that really adds on. I never
That's
did that. I
good.
just told them don't do this, don't do that. But, you know, they know what to do with their children.
And I grew up like that as well. And that's good. That's a good point, because we're told what to do, and one of the things that I missed growing up was receiving understanding. And so now when it's our turn to have children, because y'all know our family, we real. What you see is what you get.
We real.
And there's gonna be some things you just do as I say because I said so, and that's it. And don't ask me no questions, or your teeth gonna be you're gonna have dentures at 12 years old. But I believe that as a child gets older, give them understanding so that they know why these systems, why these principles are important.
Right.
Because I missed the understanding part, and then I spent 9 years getting understanding, what incarcerated. And it enlightened my eyes, so that I would not make those mistakes. Because when you're constantly told, don't do this,
Right.
sometimes you be like, you know what, I'm gonna touch that stove. And you're like, it's hot.
Right.
Why didn't you tell me because it was hot?
Exactly. Right.
And that would be suffice.
Right.
And so that is important. So, we want to reiterate that this mommy segment is not, to tell you what to do as a parent, but you have generations and generations of knowledge. She's soon to be a grandmother, and she's raised 2 daughters successfully that have multiple degrees. And I say that because of the outcome, where she was not given something, she passed it to the next generation and supported their decision making in schooling and all of that, because your daughters have lived with you up until adults. Y'all all have lived together. And so you created that environment so that they can pursue and get the education that was needed.
Absolutely.
And not have to worry about the stress and the throes of life. Even though they still experience life experiences, it helped, because you can't be educated while trying to figure out what I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do this. And so, especially for a girl, it's so much more. For female, for female, it's so different, because the world is not kind. The world is not. The world is very cruel, and we know even now we're living in treacherous days. So, how was it in your 20s then versus now? You see, because where we were, I can't remember. We were at some store, and mommy just went up to the girls and was like, "Girl," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was like, "Lord Jesus!" I was embarrassed. But she has an outgoing personality, and women, young girls, would just gravitate. The girl was just blah 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 blah. And I was like, Lord have mercy. I mean, they were just blah, 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 blah. And she was all like this. And I was like, see, you called to that. You called to it. But I say that because she has so much to give to the generation. And so in your 20s, what do you see different now? Like, as far as like, you were able to go out and have that and not have a lot of fear of like, oh, something will happen to you. Now little girls are getting kidnapped, raped, abducted, forced into, so many human trafficking is at an all-time high. And then that wasn't as a prevalent reality then.
Right. That was never fair of mine. Right. Man, my cousin used to hitchhike. We would be on Emerson Avenue. Yeah, we would be on Emerson Avenue. Actually, like, I remember many days guys picked us up. We weren't feeling about getting raped or getting taken off anywhere. Not that it wasn't happening. It probably was. God just watched. Whew. It was most likely happening. People are like this everywhere, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
Yeah.
So we were hitchhiking down Emerson Avenue. He'd pick us up, take us to the roller skate rink, or pick us up, take us to our house. But nothing ever happened.
Now,
You know, so it was like, honestly, it was
Wow.
just like an innocence. You know, we talking about the 70s and the 80s.
70s and 80s.
This is like, it was almost like it was innocent for us. I mean, you know, even though my parents sheltered us, I was still able to go out and do things.
Mm-hmm.
But I never feared that. Nowadays, when my kids came along, Diane, sit up there and watch
That's
Diane
what I
watch
was
the
gonna
play. Don't let her
ask.
go around, but don't go around, don't get out my eyesight, because I was
Right.
afraid somebody would take her. You know,
Because that was a
because
present
that's
reality.
all you're hearing on the news. That's all that was on the news.
So how? This is my last question, y'all.
Y'all can ask some questions.
So yeah, put your questions in the chat, and yeah, you can. We'll put the question in the chat, and then Miss Diane, she'll follow up at the, what is it called? Pre-show.
Yeah.
The pre-show. So because this is the first one, we don't have a pre-show. We just jump right into the 20s. The pre-show, and all of your questions will be answered. Pull at this wisdom. Pull at this wisdom. Pull at this wisdom.
I can help you out. I promise you.
How? So what does that look like for like grandchildren? I mean, nobody's pregnant. Nobody's pregnant yet. But how? You know, because that's the fourth generation coming into manifestation. What does that look like? You talk about raising. Like, what are your thoughts now? You know,
With the way the world is today. Well, this is the thing. I've already prayed for my kids. I already told God what I need from Him, and He's going to help me out with that. Because my kids are going to, your children, my grandchildren are going to serve Him for the rest of their lives, and it's going to be instilled. I mean, look at Papa here. He's going to have them taken care of. But I prayed, and I asked God to cover my grandchildren. And that's what you have to do. You have to pray over your children, pray over your grandchildren, pray over your great grandchildren. You can pray generations on out. You know, but I prayed and I asked God for specific things. It's specific things that I asked for that I can't share with everybody. Only God needs to know this. But I'm not really fearing anything. Just like nowadays, we're under the shadow of the Almighty, you know, in the shelter of the Most High. So I'm relaxed right there because I know He's going to take care of us. He's not going to let anything come now. He has not yet. Think about it. He has not yet. We done been out here with COVID. This is nothing. We're not bragging about anything but our God and how He covers us and protects us. So I'm asking Him to cover and protect my grandchildren. And I know He will. He said He will answer my prayers. I'll delight myself in Him. Yes, He will do it. Yes, He won't. He will do it. And I trust and I believe Him because His word is pure and it's true. And I trust Him. So I know He's going to cover my grandchildren. They just going to have to use wisdom and common sense, but we're going to teach that to them. You know, but they're going to be fine. Just like we're fine. You know, God's going to protect His people.
Okay, I lied, y'all. I have one more question. Being that we're talking about next generation and wisdom and wealth and influence and all this, your granddaughter, your grandson is sitting right here, right now, in their 20s. What would you say to them? Him or her, or both?
Both of them. I'm going to say both to them. I'm going to tell them, whatever you do in your lifetime, you make sure you keep God first, above everything else. Listen to your parents because they're full of wisdom. You know, I live with them. I've seen them before. I've been with them. I grew to love them. I said, so listen to your parents.
Oh, you talking about us? I thought you were talking about your parents.
I said, listen to your parents. Listen to your parents. You come to talk to them, so I'm talking to them. Listen to your parents so you don't get your heads cracked. But they're going to be obedient to your parents, you know, and foremost, keep God first. Because your parents follow God. They know what they're doing. They're going to protect you. They're going to cover you. And God is going to keep and protect you as well. So I would definitely tell him to keep him first. There's nothing else. I mean, he's everything. Wow. Following him is everything. There's nothing else that's going to work. It don't matter until you follow God.
That's amazing.
And I'm going to tell them they better do it. No.
Or else.
You know,
ain't no running to grandma thinking she's going to crack that. It's like, That's good. That's good. It just reminded me of Solomon when David, you know, Proverbs is full of the wise things that his father passed down to him.
Right.
And he said the summation of all these things that he's learned, all these things that he's experienced as a young man, because he was a young man when he took the throne, that he said to love and fear God and keep His commandments. He said that's your all. Yes. And so even in hearing you say that, it's so critical. And that it's not just, you know, I know you guys, look at me like, oh, that's easy for y'all to say because y'all say, but mommy knew God, but she wasn't serving as she was.
Relationship with God at all.
I knew God, but I wasn't serving Him in the capacity that I am today.
Right.
In my 20s, I was trying to figure out who I was.
Mm.
And I was out in the military. And, I was experiencing life. Still stayed on the sidewalks, didn't stray straight too far.
Right.
But He was always still the center of my life and my thought patterns.
Right.
And I know He's the one that kept me.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can say that confidently, that that's why I'm here today, that's why I'm breathing. Not because of all of my decisions, but because my grandmother, my mother, my father prayed for me.
That's right. It's all about prayer.
And so to know that Grandma has already prayed for the ones that are not even born, y'all gonna have favor.
I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna show it to you later because I got it all written down.
And she do. She be writing everything down. She like, I remember when y'all let me pull it up. And she be going through the little tablet phone.
I prayed for my daughter's husbands. Listen.
She be on it. She be on it. But it's beautiful. I understand now the importance even the more. So just so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. So as we're closing this segment, I believe that it's imperative, important for Mommy to leave y'all with a final thought. So she's going to leave you with a final thought.
The final thought is this. Pray, pray, pray. Pray without ceasing. Pray over your family. Pray over your children. Pray over your husbands. Pray over your wives. Pray over your aunts, your uncles. Pray over your brothers, your sisters. Pray over everybody. Keep God first and keep prayer in your mouth. That's all I can that's all I can give you. Listen at people with wisdom. Listen as wisdom call out to you. So follow it. It'll lead you on a straight and narrow path. You have to read your word, read the Bible. Hear what God is saying to you. Open up and give Him a yes. So you don't have to waste 40 years around the mountain. God will take care of you. All you have to do is just trust Him. And I know that a lot of times you just stray off. I did it. I strayed off for years. But you know what? God pulled me back in. You don't go off too far. Stay in the Word. Stay on your knees. Stay prostrate. Pray. Talk to Him. You don't have to be all loud and crazy. You can just talk to Him in a whisper. He'll hear you. You talk to Him from your heart. He hears you. And so that's what I want to give you right now today. And also, if you don't know Christ, because like Ken said, I knew of God. I just didn't know. I didn't have a relationship with Him. You need to have a relationship with God. You need to accept Him. First of all, you need to accept Jesus as your Savior. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, I don't care how many drinks you had, I don't care how much cocaine you did, I don't care how many needles you took. If you're still here and you're living and you're breathing, you still have a chance, and God's arms are open for you. All you have to do is say, yes, Lord, I believe that you are. I believe that you did die for me. I believe that God sent you, Jesus Christ, to die for me, to seek and save the lost. I believe it. I believe that God rose you from the dead, and I believe that you love me and you want me to be in your good places, and I want to do that. Just let Him know. He got you. He'll take care of you. All right? So put your questions down in the line. See us here next Wednesday. It's going to be every Wednesday at 12 noon. CST time, I believe it is. CST. 12 noon, we'll be here because I'm running through different ages. The 20s was the day. We're going to hit the 30s next week. The 30s is going to get a little rocky, okay? Because I got a little rocky in my life. I wasn't always sweet and innocent. Don't get it twisted. I love you all. You have a wonderful day. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube. We're there. If you missed this, come back and watch it again. Watch it again and again and again. However you want to do it, it's available to you. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. See you next time.